All right. All right. Sue me, kill me, do whatever. I know I took the other day off, but you know, sometimes you need a break. I hope everyone had a great holiday season or the holiday weekend. You know, it was President's Day on Monday, so I had the day off from school, and Valentine's Day on Sunday. We had some fun. But over the past week, there's been some really breaking news going on in the NFL world, in the NBA world. We'll talk about both of those today here on Coast to Coast Sports. Once again, I'm Michael Fiumefreddo, and this is the only show for the fans, by the fans. So let's get into some of the breaking news that happened just this morning. And I filmed these on Thursday. You'll see it on Friday or Saturday. But Carson Wentz was traded to the Indianapolis Colts from the Philadelphia Eagles. And they got him for dirt cheap. The Colts kind of really muffed this deal. I feel like they could have gotten a lot more out of it. Or a lot more from the or the Eagles should have gotten a lot more for Carson Wentz. They only got a 2021 third-round pick, so this year's third-round pick from the Colts, and next year's second-rounder, which could turn into a first-round pick if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps. Now, I know I've been talking about this for a while now. We've been saying, oh, this is the perfect match, Frank Reich and Carson Wentz back at it again. They were already a playoff team last year, and now they add even a better quarterback when healthy was an MVP candidate a few years back. I think they're in for a real good season there in Indianapolis. But, yeah, I think the Eagles kind of muffed this deal when you think about what other teams were offering for Carson Wentz. And I'm going to have to start off by talking about the Chicago Bears. Because I said on Instagram on Tuesday that they were the team that was really pushing as a front runner for Carson Wentz. They were willing to give up a couple first rounders. Nick Foles was also part of the deal. But they were apparently really high on getting Carson Wentz. And for what reason, I don't know. But really the only domino effect that comes out of the Carson Wentz trade, and if you think about the quarterback carousel I did a couple weeks ago, I said Philly's got their guy, Indy lost their guy, so the swap here really doesn't kill anyone, but there's no domino effect really, except that the Chicago Bears were the team that wanted Carson Wentz a little bit more. They were going to offer up a little bit more, but they ultimately didn't get him. So what does that mean? Does that mean they settle for Mitch Trubisky for another year? I mean, they were a playoff team with him. Were they just trying to get Carson Wentz, or are they going to now venture out and get Deshaun Watson like I've been saying? And I know that I've been saying that Carson Wentz isn't going to get traded to the draft. There's not going to be a lot of news on him even. But all that's changed now. And I think a bidding war is about to start for Carson Wentz. And it starts off with the fact that in the same day that a lot of people were saying Carson Wentz to the Eagles was a done deal, or Carson Wentz to the Bears was a done deal, the Panthers decided, hey, we're going to release some news that we want Deshaun Watson. We're willing to give up the best running back in the league, a quarterback, and 3 first-round picks, which includes a top 10 one in this year's draft, just to get Deshaun Watson. And they say that because Teddy Bridgewater, they obviously want to be like a bridge quarterback. They wanted to have him play 1 or 2 years, maybe groom a quarterback that they take this season. And then Christian McCaffrey, he's their guy. I mean, they drafted him as a top 10 pick. They've paid him all this money now. He was hurt all of last season, but they were expecting big things from him when he was going to come back. So if you're the Houston Texans, do you take this deal? Do you take a running back that just is coming off a brutal injury that kept him out an entire year? Are you taking Teddy Bridgewater, who's now going to be on, I think it's like his 5th team? Do you take these first-round picks and do what you will with them? I think they do. And let's break it down a little bit. I talked about the negatives just now of what they're getting in this deal. Let's talk about the positives. You get a top 3 running back in the league in Christian McCaffrey. You get Teddy Bridgewater, he's been serviceable. He went 5-11 last season without his best player in that offense. And, I mean, you're only going to start him for 1 or 2 years because you're going to draft a quarterback with that 8th overall pick. And it looks like you're going to have your pick of the next 3-4 guys up. And by that, I mean not Trevor Lawrence, but the Zach Wilsons of the draft, the Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or even Mac Jones if they like him that much. So, I mean, Carolina seems like a very fitting choice. They got a young team over there, some great receivers. Mike Davis was a serviceable running back last year. Christian McCaffrey out. You got one of the best young pairings in the coaches with Matt Rule and Joe Brady. I think this will be a good fit for him. But then again, who knows what Deshaun Watson thinks about this? No one really expected Carolina to come out here and make this move. But Deshaun Watson was asked a couple weeks ago which teams he wanted to go to, really. And he came out and said his preferred spots are the Denver Broncos and the San Francisco 49ers. I said a little while ago, I think Denver will be a great fit for him. They want to move on from Drew Lock. They don't think he's the answer. San Francisco, a lot of fans out there want him. I talked to a bunch of guys that I live with in the house. They're all 49ers fans from the Bay. They want Deshaun Watson. And it's just up to their coaching staff whether or not they want to make the move. But, yeah, will teams listen to them? Will Denver say, hey, we got a shot at this guy who wants to come play for us. Why not offer something? Will San Francisco do the same thing? Say, I think we've had enough of Jimmy Garoppolo. We can move him for a pick and then just send the house to get Deshaun Watson. Will teams like the Jets, who Deshaun Watson actually said, I don't really feel like they'd be a great fit, which is true. Or like the New England Patriots or the Miami Dolphins, who have all been talked about as preferred landing spots. Are they going to back away now? Because Deshaun Watson came out and said, hey, I don't really want to play for you guys. But, I mean, the offer's still on the table. I don't know. Do you make that move now? Do you risk trading your entire future, giving the Houston Texans a deal they can't refuse, and then Deshaun Watson comes to town and he's unhappy? I don't know. It's definitely going to be something to look into, but I'm still thinking it's Chicago. And they can re-sign Allen Robinson, hopefully, or try to. I don't really want them to for my Jets, but they can re-sign him, give him some weapons like David Montgomery. You maybe even send Mitch Trubisky over to Houston to sweeten the deal. And then I think that's just going to be a great fit. They were a playoff team 2 of the last 3 seasons. They got the pieces on defense. They got the young stars on offense. All they need is that quarterback. And that's why I think Chicago would be, like Carson Wentz in Indy, I think Chicago and Deshaun Watson would be a great fit. Let's shift gears now over to some NBA talk. I know I've been getting into it for a while. We're at the halfway point, and I really haven't spoken that much about it. We talked about some of the bigger trades, like the Harden one, what's been going on in the earlier parts of the season, but we're at the halfway point, and it may sound like I'm rushing through this episode. I got class in 20 minutes now, but yeah, I'm a busy guy now, but not a lot of time to watch NBA basketball, but I've been getting it in. But the NBA All-Star voting has closed. We have our starting lineups and our team captains. I'll start off with the East, where Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets got the captainship. He's having a fantastic year, but I would have expected a guy like Joel Embiid to get it the way he's been playing as an MVP candidate. He'll be on there with some of the usual suspects, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bradley Beal, who's having a phenomenal year, and I think the biggest surprise is that Kyrie Irving actually made it into the starting lineups this year. You know, he's been sitting out a few games. He's been doing some odd stuff in the NBA games this year. He's been walking around doing the Sage early on in the preseason. We've seen that. He's taken some games off, but he's going to be a starter this year. And what's great about this whole these fantasy drafts is that that's been going on for a few years now, but he can partner up with his old teammate LeBron James, who is a captain once again. And he'll be representing the Western Conference along with Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, who's back in here, and then Luka Doncic, who edged out Damian Lillard for this starting role by the coaches and player votes. And we're looking at this list. I see the usual suspects. I mean, it's kind of hard for a guy like Colin Sexton or Julius Randle to really make their first All-Star appearance as a starter, but I think when it comes down to the coaches, the players, and the media, they'll make the right decisions on who's going to get those final spots. And Damian Lillard, too. I think he deserves a spot there as well. I voted for him as a starter. But let's talk about some of the recent news regarding the repeating champions, the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, they've apparently lost Anthony Davis for what looks like the rest of the regular season. And this is where it's time for LeBron to step up. And we've been saying that he's the likely MVP favorite right now. He could get his 5th MVP, which would tie him with Michael Jordan. And, of course, all the Jordan fans, the LeBron haters, are like, oh, he's not even playing that good this year. I mean, what's he done besides just be on the Lakers and be LeBron? But they're saying it's just for the narrative, really. I mean, his stats are still good. They're not top of the league, but they're right around the top 10 in almost every category. But when you think about the narratives, if LeBron has 4 MVPs, if the narratives were not, let's keep LeBron at 4 MVPs so Michael Jordan has more, LeBron would have about 6 or 7. Let's be real here. Now, you want to say narratives playing into the fact that they want to give it to him this year because he's old, he's having a great year, then yeah, go be my guest. But LeBron is still having a fantastic year. And I think it's going to get even better now that Anthony Davis is out because LeBron's the guy in LA. He's going to make a huge impact on this team. He's going to make the guys around him better. He's going to play better himself. They're still fighting for that top seed in the West with Utah, but I think I have a lot of faith in LeBron. I think he'll get his team into the playoffs. He'll probably win this championship again. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this Lakers team performs without Anthony Davis because we saw the last time they didn't have him, they missed the playoffs completely. But they got other guys like Montrezl Harrell, who's a favorite for 6th Man of the Year. You got Kyle Kuzma stepping up, Dennis Schroeder, all those guys really playing well, especially Alex Caruso as well. But that's what's going on with LeBron. And in other news, I got to talk about my Mavericks. They're kind of in a rough spot right now because just as they got hot, Texas got cold, if you know what I mean. They got the snowstorms out there, canceled a few games. They canceled the game against the Pelicans. They've also canceled one against Houston that was supposed to be in Houston. But it should be good to see what the NBA does because they've had all these plans that what if a team got COVID? How are we going to deal with it? Now they got to deal with it because they're giving teams snow days. So that's going to do it for me this show. I know I got class in a few minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up pretty quickly. Thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in the Texas area who's being affected by this snowstorm. But once again, I'm Michael Fiumefreddo signing off for Coast to Coast Sports, the only show for the fans, by the fans. Catch you next week.